Hi, my name is Miss Christy. I'm a teaching artist with the PACE program, and I'm bringing an art lesson to you today to celebrate Black History Month. I'm going to be highlighting some African American artists today that produce artwork called portraits. Have you ever heard that term before? Portraits. Can you say that? Portraits. Portraits are a kind of artwork that features people, either one person or a family. Photographs that you have at home of yourself or your family, those are portraits. So these artists that I'm going to be showing you create paintings with people, and in some of those paintings you can see that they're wearing bright colored clothing, or they have a certain style to them, and every artist has their own style. So when you're making your artwork today, I want you to remember that it's your artwork. It can look however you want it to look. I want you to feel like there are no mistakes in art as long as you are being creative and allowing yourself to create a new piece of artwork. So we are also going to be talking about something that happened recently that is historic, meaning it has never happened before in our country. We have our first female or woman vice president, and her name is Kamala Harris. And she was elected to be vice president, and she's the very first woman that gets to do that job. When people take the job of vice president, they have to swear an oath. So you may see in this picture, she has her hand up, and she has her other hand on two Bibles, and she is reciting something that all of the vice presidents have said to promise that they will do their best job being vice president of the United States of America. So we are going to do a portrait of Kamala Harris. And I'm going to be going through how to draw her piece by piece. Everything that you look at is made up of shapes. In your face, your head might be an oval. Your eyes, your eyeball might be round, but you really only see a little bit of that in a shape that's kind of like a football. Our noses are all shaped differently. We have our own special features, and our mouths, if we're smiling, is like an upturned curve. So we're going to be using those lines and shapes that we've talked about in the past to create our portrait. The first thing I want you to do is have your pencil ready and a piece of white construction paper. If you don't have construction paper, just a regular sheet of paper will do. And the first thing we're going to do is fold it twice. We're doing this because it'll help me guide you through the drawing process. So I want you to hold your piece of paper. You can lay it flat on your table or hold it up, and you're going to match the corners together. So go ahead and match those corners as best you can. It's okay if they're not perfect. And then you're going to fold it again and match up those corners. So we're folding it twice. When you do that, you're creating creases in the paper that are going to help me guide you across the piece of paper with all of the shapes and lines that we're going to draw. So when you open your paper up, you'll see that there's two lines, one vertical and one horizontal. 1, 2. And right here is the middle of the piece of paper. My piece of paper is up on the wall, but yours is going to be flat on your desk. The first thing we're going to do is draw with a pencil. Many artists will draw their pencil drawing first and then come back later with the color. And that's what we're going to do. So this is part 1 of the video for portrait drawing. And then we're going to finish the drawing another time by applying the color with crayons. The first thing I want you to do after you've folded your paper is I want you to write your name on one side of the piece of paper. In the middle, or at the bottom, you're going to write your name, and then you're going to turn your paper over to where your name is on the back. Did you do that yet? Did you finish writing your name? Okay, good. So everybody's ready. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your teacher. And teachers, if you ever need to pause the lesson and let students catch up, please do so. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the shape of the head. Now, it's not a round circle, it's more of an oval or an egg shape. With all of these steps, you watch me first and then you try. So we're going to find the middle of our paper here and trace your finger up about halfway. And we're on this vertical line toward the top of the paper, but not all the way to the top. You're going to trace your finger over to the right, and this is where we're going to put her face. Are you ready? Watch me first and then you try. This shape is going to take up about this much of the paper. Not too big and not too small. Do you see that? Now you go ahead and try. It should be about the width of 3 or 4 fingers. And after you draw the oval, watch me draw the next part. The next part is we're going to draw the top of her body. And she wore a beautiful purple coat that day, my favorite color. And so what we're going to do, first we're going to draw a triangle. You watch me first and then you try. I'm going to start in the middle and go up just a little bit and then over to the left, and I'm going to start right there. Then I'm going to come all the way across the paper but not to the end and draw another little dot. Can you do that? Find the middle of your paper, trace up just a little bit and over to the left, and go ahead and put a little dot right there. Then trace to the right across your paper under where her head is and draw another little dot. Now you can connect those 2 dots. Those are where her shoulders are going to be. Now I want you to find the middle and trace down about halfway towards the bottom and then over to the right and put a little dot down there. And this is going to create our triangle. So you go ahead and try that. All of these pencil marks are going to be covered up by crayon. So don't worry if you make a mistake. If you think, oh man, I made that way too small, or oh, I made that too big, just adjust. So maybe I made this too big. So I would just make it a little bit smaller. And don't worry about erasing because we're going to color over the top of that. You can see in this picture that she's holding her right hand up. And when we're looking at her, her hand is actually on the left side of the paper. So I want you to find the center, trace your finger over to the left, and then up a little bit, about where her shoulder is going to be. Right here, I want you to put a square. Can you see that? Next, I want you to draw a series of tiny little rectangles. Watch me first. These are going to be her fingers. So first we're going to start with her pinky. Tiny little rectangles. Then we're going to draw her ring finger just a little bit longer. And then we're going to draw her middle finger just a little bit longer than that. And then we're going to draw her pointer finger or her index finger. See how I made the line a little bit too long? I just made the rectangle a little shorter than that because I didn't want her finger to be too long. The next thing is down at the bottom of the square on the right, I'm going to draw a diagonal line. Can you see that? That's the bottom of her thumb. So I want you to draw a small diagonal line and then a rectangle out of it. That's her thumb. The next part, underneath this hand shape, I want you to draw a horizontal line. This is going to be the sleeve of her coat. The coat sleeve is another rectangle. So watch me draw a rectangle and then you try. See how it's a little bit smaller at the bottom than it is at the top? This is where her elbow is. Next, we're going to connect this little dot right there on the right side of that rectangle. And we're going to connect those two. This is the top part of her arm. Next, we're going to draw the bottom part of her arm and we're going to connect it here to the elbow at the bottom of this rectangle. All right, so we have her right hand that she's holding up to say her oath of office. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a little bit of details of her face. So our eyes are kind of like little football shapes, but in this case, the sun was shining straight on her face. So do you know what happens when the sun is shining into your eyes like that? It kind of hurts, huh? It makes you want to squint. How do we draw someone squinting? I know you don't have a mirror in front of you, but go ahead and turn to the person next to you and squint. Can you do that? It's hard to see, huh? So how do we draw that? Well, we're just going to use a series of curved lines. And where are we going to put these lines? So on this oval, you can kind of think of this as the middle of her face. So her nose is probably right here in the middle. So go ahead and put just a little dot just to say this is where her nose is going to be when we draw it. So if her nose is here, then that must mean her eyes are here and here. All of our features of our face are right here in the middle, and we're just going to draw two little curved lines, it looks almost like she's sleeping right now. So two little curved lines. Can you see that? You go ahead and try. Next, we are going to draw her nose, and she has a really pretty nose. It's like it comes down into a little point, and she's smiling, and in this picture, it almost looks like she's really excited and she's trying to keep it all in. So the way her nose is, we're going to start with that point, and then we're going to go up just a little bit and make the nostrils. Watch me first, and then you try. It starts in the middle, and it's almost like a little V. So you do that, a little V, like a lowercase v. And then we're going to give it just a little bit of a curve, just a little bit. Next, she's smiling. And we're going to draw that smile. We're going to just start with a simple curved line. You go ahead and try that. It's a little smile. There. Now, how do we make it look like her lips? So we have a top lip and a bottom lip. And the top lip is almost like it has a little M. Can you see that? Almost like a little M. You go ahead and try that. A little lowercase m. And then the bottom lip is just like a small curved line that we did before underneath the first one. And we can make that smile a little bit. All right. Then how do we make those cheeks? So we're not going to draw a circle for her cheeks. She has these cheekbones right here that we all have, and we're just going to draw a little hint of a line. A little curved line. Did you get it? Now we're going to draw her eyebrows, and they kind of go the other way. You can see that our face is a lot of different curved lines. So these curved lines are above her eyes. We could even draw a little bit of eyelashes. And then her hair. She has really pretty hair. And her hair is parted, kind of like mine is parted. So her part is on the left side, and it swoops a little bit across her forehead. And then on the other side, it's tucked behind her ear. So first, let's draw her little ear. So right here, next to her eye, on the outside of her head, just draw a little ear, another curved line or another oval shape. And then she's wearing pearl earrings, so let's give her one of those earrings. You can see a little bit of the other earring on the other side. Now let's do that hair. So her part is right here. So I want you to make a little diagonal line right there. See how I did that? Just a little diagonal line. You try that. It goes down toward this eye that's on the right. Next, we're gonna do that piece of hair that comes across her forehead. Watch me first and then you try. Did you see that? It's a curved line around down to her ear. And then stop. Then above her head, we're going to start where we have this diagonal line, and we're going to go up and do a little wave, and go ahead and stop right here, just so that everybody can get caught up. Did you get it? Okay, let's finish your hair. We're gonna make it a little bit wavy, and then you can put a little curl down there at the bottom. Right here is where her neck is. And if you look at me, the way my neck is, if you follow the line from my eyes down, you can see it kind of lines up with where my neck is. So we're going to do that with her. You're going to follow with your finger down under her cheek, and then you're going to put her neck. Same thing here. You try that. So this leads out to her shoulder and then down to her arm. And the same thing on the other side. It goes out to her shoulder and down to her arm that you can't see yet. The next thing we're going to do is do the other side of her hair. Right now, her hair almost looks like it's see-through, but we're going to be coloring that in. Don't worry. The other side of her hair is tucked behind her ear. So we're going to go up just a little bit and then back down. Up and then down. You try that. Then we're going to do the top of her hair here, and we're going to go up a little and a little bit of a wavy line, and it comes all the way down to her shoulder. She's already looking like a woman, saying her oath. So the next part, we're going to finish her coat. Her coat has a collar, and then she has a shirt on underneath. So the first shape that we're going to draw is from where her neck is. Watch me first and then you try. We're going to draw a kind of triangle shape down and then back up. And you're going to put it on either side of her neck. This is where her shirt is. And then she has a pearl necklace on. So we're going to put some circles for those pearls. You go ahead and try that. So a triangle for the front of her coat, and then a series of circles for the pearls. Her coat has a collar that's a zigzag line. Do you remember us talking about zigzag lines? Well, watch me do this big zigzag line. It's just 2 zigs and zags. You ready? So up here on her shoulders, it starts kind of in the middle of her shoulder, and it goes out, back in, out again, and then down to the bottom of that triangle that we just drew. Did you get it? Let's do that again. So start in the middle. You're going down with a diagonal, zig, zag, zig, zag. Did you get it? The next side is the same thing. We're going to start in the middle of her shoulder and go out, back in, out again, and then down to where it's buttoned, and you can put 2 buttons. Also draw a straight line down, and that's where her coat is buttoned up. So she's not going to be just this triangle, but there is someone that is in front of her. When someone is sworn into office, or when they take the oath of office, there's a judge that says the words and then they repeat the words. And the judge in this case was Sonia Sotomayor, and she spoke those words, and then Kamala Harris repeated after her. So we can't really see the judge, but we can see the shape of her. So let's draw that together. Watch me first. Over here, below this center line, you're going to come down from the edge of the paper right about there. Can you point to that place on your paper? On the right side. And this is where I'm going to start. And I'm going to make a wavy line. Watch me first. A wavy line toward the center and then down. And then back in a little bit. Can you see that? It's sort of a wavy circle. And then it curves back out and goes left. So you're just going to do a wavy line, and this is the shoulder of the judge. So she's standing in front of Kamala Harris. We're going to be coloring all that in. So remember, if you make a mistake, we're just going to color over the top of it. Then we're going to finish her coat and the rest of her body. So she's not just a triangle. We're going to start right here under her arm, and we're going to create a curved line. Can you do that? It curves over that middle line that's right there and down toward this line right here. It goes in and then it goes back out. See, it's a slight curve. And this is the bottom of her coat down here. On the other side, you could just see a little bit of her arm, a little bit of her coat. So go ahead and draw another curved line from this shoulder toward the edge of the paper and then down. Did you get it? Okay. So we've drawn in a lot of her features. We left the shapes, the basic shapes of her hand with just the square and rectangles, and now we're going to use curved lines to make them look like fingers. So watch me do the bottom of her wrist from her coat up to the palm of her hand. And then each one of her fingers, we're just going to round out that rectangle. Instead of it being a sharp edge of a rectangle, it's going to be a curve. And the same thing with her thumb. So round out that thumb too. And we all have lines on our hands, and everyone's is different, just like everyone has different fingerprints, but we all have the same basic lines. We have a line that goes around where our thumb is. We have a line that starts where the thumb is and goes across. And then we have another line that starts out here by the pinky and goes across our hand. And some of us have a line that goes straight up through our hand like that. So you can draw some of those lines in if you want to. So this is her coat. So with your pencil, I want you to outline all of these shapes and pull them all together. So with her arm, you're going to go from her body out to her elbow and then keep going up to the sleeve of her coat. Over here, you're going to draw just a little line to show this is her other arm. And in between each pearl of her necklace, there's a small pearl that connects them. All of these details will make your portrait more interesting. The three artists that I'm going to show you are Amy Sherald, Kehinde Wiley, and Kadir Nelson. And next time we'll talk a little bit more about these artists, but I wanted you to see this artwork and how beautiful it is. You can see this artist has a lot of patterns in the clothing that her subjects or the people in her paintings are wearing. In Kehinde Wiley's paintings, there's a lot of pattern behind the people in the painting. And in Kadir Nelson's paintings, there's a person that's often holding something. So this little boy has a red, white, and blue popsicle. This little girl has an American flag. And this girl looks like she's ready to jump in the swimming pool with a red and white striped beach ball, and her bathing suit is blue with white stars like the American flag. All three of these artists are from America. Are any of you interested in becoming an artist when you grow up? Thank you so much for being with me today for this part of our project. Next time, we're going to apply color to our drawing. I can't wait to see you then.